Hey, what's going on, Scatterbrains? Thank you for coming back to another episode of Scatterbrains. See, I feel like I haven't called y'all Scatterbrains in a while. Have I been slacking? I feel like I haven't called y'all Scatterbrains in a minute. But what's going on, Scatterbrains? I am back to review. Oh, welcome to Scatterbrains. My name is Travis, and today I'm going to be reviewing Married at First Sight, Honeymoon Island, Season 1, Episode 7. Let me go ahead and get a couple things out of the way. I'm recording on the counter. My phone is propped up against my iPad, which has my notes on it, so that's what I'll be looking at. I'm cooking. TT snacking. Carmen will be here any moment, which means Oreo's going to start barking. Hey, so let's just go ahead and get that out of the way now. So we are one episode away from the season finale. The season ends next week. The season finale is next week, and I'm hoping and I'm assuming they're going to do a reunion. That only makes sense for a show like this. For some reason, I don't know why Lifetime moved them to a later slot, but they moved the show to 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and that's a no-go for me, bro. I can't watch a show at 11 o'clock. I'm going to sleep at 11 o'clock. You know, I got a job in the morning. So to me, that kind of seems like they're sabotaging the show. And that's either because there's another show that's come on another network that's in that 9 o'clock time slot that's stealing their views, or they just don't have faith in the show anymore, because I just don't understand the purpose of doing that 6 episodes, and it just didn't make any sense. I thought last week was just like a one-time thing, but no. According to Chris from the show, I tweeted him and asked him did they change their time slot, and he says it's like that for the rest of the season, so who knows why. But so on this episode, there's 4 days left for their time on the island. Sorry about that. What was I saying? The video, somebody called me, so the video stopped. Last week's episode ended with, another dramatic letdown where they talked about they had a surprise. Pastor Cal said he had a surprise for them. So it was just different family members. So Katie and Kimber's parents showed up, and Shannon's mom and sister showed up. Pastor Cal says they contacted everybody else's families, but everybody else's family said they couldn't make it. Obviously, Brandon's mom had already been there. And my thing is, if the producers of the show knew that that was the route that they were going to take, for example, Chris's family could not be there. His daughter and whomever else in his family was going to come, they couldn't be there because he said they didn't have passports. So my thing is, what would have made the most sense is, since y'all are on Extended Stay Club, Bay, Morgan, whatever, they should have just put everybody on a cruise. That's what makes sense to me. If you want to get these families there, put them on a cruise ship and get them there. You don't need a passport from the U.S. to go to any of these islands. So, but that's just what makes sense to me. Obviously, they're not going to listen to my suggestions. So this episode pretty much is the family episode. I didn't take down a lot of notes because I watched this episode on a bootleg website because I didn't want to watch it on demand because I didn't want to have to sit through the commercials. So because I was watching on a bootleg website, for number one, the images were reversed. So I don't know anybody's name that came and showed up of the families. I didn't even try to decipher it out because it was backwards and I didn't feel like going through that and hurting my head. And secondly, it was sped up. So the pitches of everybody's voice, I pretty much just got finished watching. You need some more snacks? Hold on, y'all. She eating goldfish. She said, Daddy, I do not care about you doing that video. Where are my goldfish? There you go. So pretty much I just got finished watching Married at First Sight, Honeymoon Island, Alvin and the Chipmunks edition. Okay? So let's start with Kimber and Shannon. So yeah, I missed a lot of notes because, I'm doing life right now. So it's like I said, Shannon's sister. Ma'am, I need you to eat your snacks. Thank you. Shannon's sister came, and his sister was on, I don't know if both of them were on, but at least the sister was on Married at First Sight, Second Chances, but I didn't watch. Well, I think we started watching the show and we just gave up on it. But his sister's very upfront, very blunt, very honest, and she, she doesn't hold anything back, which is, good for the show. So they ask him, because what happens is Shannon's family and Kimber's family are able to sit down at dinner that night, and so they're kind of just all asking the questions, that they have regarding what exactly is going on. And they bring up the fact that Shannon lives in Georgia and she lives in Vegas, and how is that going to work? So they talk about, they want to see how each other lives once this whole thing is over, which makes the most sense. The way you act on vacation is not the way you act on it every day. So it's very important for them to see how the other person is on the regular. But Kimber takes it upon herself to announce that they live together. But I'm like, I don't know why she's saying that they live together, because y'all don't live together. Y'all are just staying in a room together. That's not living together. That is not your place of residence, so you're not living there. So Shannon's mom has feelings about them shacking up. That is a value within many black communities and black homes, especially church rooted ones, that you should not shack up. And for those who don't know what shacking up means, that's living together before marriage. So she has her feelings about that. Shannon's sister asked her, has she ever lived with someone else? And she tells them that she has. And they kind of feel some kind of way because she's lived with 4 other people, which is a lot of people to have lived with. I've only lived with Carmen. That's the only girl I've ever lived with. Now, I had plenty of overnight company, but that's the only girl that I've ever lived with. And outside of having like a roommate in college, and then that's it. I've been by myself for the most part, and it's been, great. And it was great, rather. So they talk about kids, and, they bring up the fact that, she's kind of on the fence about kids. He feels like he's persuaded her to kind of be more interested in having kids, but, we'll see how that goes. That's going to be a major point of contention later on, if they decide to stay together in the future. That's going to be a problem. So then they have their private talks. She talks with her parents, and to sum it all up, they like him. The dad realizes that he can't come in and, be overprotected, that he has to let her live her life. And clearly she's been living her life, because later in the episode, she tells us that she's been in nothing but long-term relationships since she's been 14. I'm like, those weren't relationships. I just don't believe. Yeah, I don't believe that a 14-year-old is in a serious relationship. To say you've been in a long-term serious relationship since you were 14 to 26, that's your discovery year. That is not like serious relationship territory until you get like to the end. Like 23 plus, I say, is when you enter into serious relationship territory. I know people may disagree with me, but I just don't believe 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds are in serious relationships, because you don't even know who you are at that point. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's just how I look at it. But pretty much, like I said, when they talk to his family, when she talks to her family, they like him. And then he talks to his people on the beach, and, they had to make it a point to say that they're at the Extended Stay Club Morgan Bay. And I'm like, goodness, that clearly was a contractual obligation that they had to fulfill on this show, was to say the hotel's name a minimum of 5 times every episode. And on the hotel's part, great promotion. Great promotion. So smart, because I'm sure at least one person has Googled Extended Stay Club Morgan Bay just to see, how it is. And especially after they did all this nice talking about it. But it also makes the show feel not genuine, because Shannon's mom and sister was sitting on the beach talking about, I just love this breeze here at the Extended Stay Club Morgan Bay. Like, it's just great. Like, so it was a lot. But later in the episode, Shannon, Kimber, and his people are able to sit down and talk, and that's where they get more information about her, and that's what she tells them about the whole long-term relationships from 14 to 26. She talks about the longest time she's been single is for 1.5 years, and that was the point leading up to Honeymoon Island. And for me, I'm like, I don't remember how old she is. I'm gonna assume she's 26, and she says she's only been in long-term relationships during that time. But my thing is, you need longer than 1.5 years to really figure out who you are single. Because if you've been in a relationship for 12 years pretty much straight, and you just jump from relationship to relationship, I don't really feel like you know who you are. Because the person that she was when she entered this relationship at 14 is not the same person that she was when she exited that last relationship at 26. So I kind of think Kimber needs to take a little bit more time to get to know herself. But, that's just my opinion. Shannon's sister asked the mom how she feels about them possibly not having kids, and she's cool with it. She says that they just have to make sure that that's their choice. And Kimber asks them, are they good? They good? Kimber asks them, would they be comfortable if they got married? And the sister, said, I'm going to pass on that right now, but there's potential. So that's pretty much what happened with Shannon and Kimber. Katie and Eric, I literally have 2 sentences. Katie's parents come, but I feel like I missed whatever happened with them. They ask him, Tegan, please. So silly. They ask him why he did Honeymoon Island. My thing is, like, why do you need to ask somebody that? You did Honeymoon Island because you want some butt. I'm kidding. You do Honeymoon Island because you wanted to be in a relationship. Ooh, I crack myself up sometimes. So, I mean, that's obvious. And he tells him about his job, and apparently he works in the medicinal marijuana arena. What exactly he does, I'm not sure, but it involves him going to Colombia. So, moving on to Brandon and Jonah. Tegan, you are on one right now. Do you really just want to be seen? Is that what it is? Say, hey, I'm enjoying my snacks. Say, hey, you doing all that talking? Oh, now you want to get quiet. You always want to get quiet when you get on camera. Anyway, so Brandon and Jonah, at some point or another, early in the episode, talked about how they have to get married by the end of this. Talk about how they have to get married at the end of this, and that's just not the case. These people can't make you get married, so I don't understand. And my thing is, what should have happened to me is every couple should have had an arrangement. You know, if they felt like that by the end of this experiment, they knew they weren't ready to like get engaged, but they knew they wanted to continue to see how things went, then your arrangement should have been, okay, for these cameras, we're going to say, hey, it ain't working, we're walking away. But once we leave this island, we're going to stay in touch and we're going to see, you know, what else is there. That way you're not feeling pressured into making this life decision just for a daggone TV show. That's what each couple should have did. Hopefully the couples that choose not to stay together do that. But I guess, you know, we'll see like if they have like a 6-month after thing. But for Brandon and Jonah, Pastor Cal talks to him and, you know, pretty much Jonah is ready to propose. We already know he proposes. It's in all the promos. And at the end of the episode, he's talking to his mom, talking to her mom, and it's a to be continued. And I mean, but whatever his mom says, I mean, whatever her mom says, it really doesn't matter because he's going to propose anyway. And then lastly, for Chris and Jada, I didn't have a lot for them. Early in the episode, they were like rapping. They were like Ren and 10, the rapping Dalmatians and rapping stuff back and forth about stuff. Tegan, what are you doing? What are you doing? You don't know, do you? Jada rapped about, I have no clue. And Chris was rapping about, come on, bruh. You don't want anything. You do this every time. I get on camera trying to make a video, then you want to start turning up. You've been sitting here silent this whole time. Go ahead, eat some more goldfish. Oh, did you just throw that goldfish at me? What was I saying? They're rapping. I don't know what they were rapping about. Chris was rapping about, like men or something like that. And Chris sang in this episode, and I'm like, dang, I still ain't looked up his stuff. And I was like, oh, I'm about to hear him sing. And then I had to remember he sounds like Alvin from Alvin and the Chipmunks because of everybody being sped up and everybody's pitches being off. So he sang Amazing Grace to, he got to meet her parents via Skype or FaceTime or something like that. They all had a good vibe with each other. And she got to meet his daughter, which, you know, was great. Chris has not, I mean, at that point, Chris had not introduced any woman to his daughter. And I mean, based on the way his daughter looks, she's maybe, you know, 2 or younger. So, I mean, that, you know, it's believable, but it also is a good thing that he hasn't introduced anybody to their child. Because, I mean, I just think introducing people who are potential whatevers to your children is a very slippery thing. So, you know, that was a smart move for him. And he introduced her over FaceTime. So it wasn't even in person. So, you know, I guess that means something for Jada to be special enough to have met his daughter. But yeah, he meets their parents. He meets her parents over. Tegan, come on. They're going to get tired of this eventually. It's cute at first, but then they want me to get finished with this review. So there's a good conversation between him and her parents. Everybody seems really cool. And then he sings Amazing Grace and with her dad. But it sounded really bad on my computer. But like I said, that was because of the pitch and everything. So, hey, that's it. You know, not much really happened. This episode was all about family. Next week is the season finale. What are our predictions? All right, let's make our predictions. So I obviously already know Jonah is going to propose to Brandon. I predict Katie and Eric will not stay together. I predict Shannon and Kimber will choose to get engaged. And I think Chris and Jada will choose to get engaged. And then I think if they do a follow-up, I think that only one couple will still be together, and I'll probably say that one couple will be... I think if I had to say that one couple was going to stay together after like a 6-month update, I would either say it's either Chris and Jada or Brandon and Jonah. Just because if I had to rank them, obviously I say the Brandon and Jonah are kind of number one, really into each other. Then I put Chris and Jada. Then I put Shannon and Kimber. Then I put Eric and Katie, based on everything that's happened on the show. So those are my predictions. Y'all let me know what y'all's are down in the comments. Make sure you rate, comment, and subscribe if you have not already. And share this video if you feel like it. You can follow me on Twitter at ScatteredB, or send me an email at scatteredbrilliancy@yahoo.com. And I'll be talking to y'all later. Peace.